It's just after 7 in the morning on December 28th, 2024. Someone who knows this family makes a call. By the time officers reach the house on Toulon Street in Brandon, Mississippi, it's already too late. Inside, they find two bodies, a husband, a wife. Somewhere else in this story are two daughters, about to find out what happened to their parents. If you're watching this from Mississippi or from anywhere else in the world, tell us where in the comments. This channel has viewers everywhere, and we want to know who's watching tonight. Before we go further, this is a real case involving real people. Some of what follows may be distressing. Viewer discretion is advised. 60 seconds earlier, if you'd looked this family up, you'd have seen something completely different. A woman publicly hopeful about her divorce. A story that, by every visible sign, looked like it was heading somewhere good. That version of the story ends here. What actually happened starts now. Jennifer Sheffield was 30 years old. Online, she was known for documenting her life on TikTok. Moments with her daughters, updates on her plans, glimpses of an ordinary family in Brandon, Mississippi. She had built an audience of thousands. Off camera, she was working towards something bigger. She was enrolled in a graduate program in medical science, building a background in biochemistry, with her sights set on a career in healthcare. She came from a close family, parents, a younger brother, people who, in the months ahead, would be asked to grieve her in public. By every account available, she was a mother first. Her daughters, Kylie and Gracie, were the center of what she shared and the center of her life. Brandon Sheffield was 40. He was her husband and the father of their daughters. Where Jennifer lived online, Brandon didn't. No channel, no following, no curated version of his life for strangers to watch. What we know about him comes from the people who knew him and from what was written about him afterward. He grew up in Mobile, Alabama. Those close to him described a man who spent his time on ordinary things, working on cars, fishing, Alabama football on Saturdays, time with family. Someone people called present, involved. One friend, Faye Lott, had known the couple since the beginning. She was there when Jennifer and Brandon first met. She stayed close to them in the years that followed. When people started asking questions about Brandon, her answer was consistent. She described a man who loved Jennifer deeply, attentive, present, someone she'd always respected for how he treated her friend. On the question that mattered most, she was direct. "He's never been a violent person," she said. "Not that I was ever aware of." That's not a stranger's opinion. That's someone who watched this marriage from the inside for years, which makes what comes next harder to explain, not easier. By December 2024, Jennifer and Brandon Sheffield were no longer living as a married couple. They were in the process of getting divorced. To the people around them, it didn't look like a crisis. It looked like two people trying to end a marriage without destroying everything around it. That's how friends who knew the family described it. Not a war, not a public fight. Brandon gave no outward sign of anger, no public conflict. Whatever was happening inside that process, it wasn't visible from the outside. For a couple going through a divorce, that kind of quiet usually reads as a good sign. Two adults handling something hard, like adults. Nothing in how Brandon carried himself during these weeks suggested otherwise to the people watching. But this divorce wasn't only happening in private, between two people and their lawyers. For Jennifer, it was also something she shared, in pieces, in real time, with thousands of strangers online.
Really and truly, like we're working together, everything's great, we're splitting everything down the middle, everything is good. It is a very civil divorce with our daughter in mind, and I really appreciate that. I'm going to be a mom, single income right now, and he will be helping with her. He will be supporting her.
On December 10th, she posted something that would later read very differently than it did the day she made it. On December 10th, Jennifer Sheffield picked up her phone and opened TikTok. She'd been posting there for a while. Her life, her daughters, her plans. This video was about the divorce. She told her followers she was about to become a single mother. She said the split was going smoothly, that she and Brandon were splitting things fairly, working together, keeping their daughters at the center of it. At one point, she called him incredible. But the video wasn't only optimism. She also talked about what was ahead of her: a new mortgage, a single income, a life she'd never had to build alone before. She said, in her own words, that she was a little scared. She asked the people watching for advice, tips on saving money, anything that might help. That's the part of the video that gets lost in the retelling. It wasn't just a woman praising her husband. It was a woman being honest about starting over and asking strangers for help doing it. There was no indication in that video that she believed she was in danger. The video went up. Life continued. 18 days passed. For 18 days, there's no public record of conflict. No follow-up video walking anything back. Then came December 28th. On the morning of December 28th, 2024, at 7:19 a.m., someone contacted authorities about the home on Toulon Street. Family members had reported what was later described as obvious signs of foul play. Police arrived and entered the residence in Brandon, Mississippi. Inside, they found Jennifer and Brandon Sheffield, both deceased. Records would later show Jennifer had died the night before, December 27th. Whatever happened inside that house happened hours before anyone outside it knew. Brandon Police Chief Joseph French addressed the case publicly that same day. He confirmed both bodies had been found at the scene. He confirmed the department was treating it as an active investigation. And based on what officers found, he offered a preliminary account of what happened. According to Chief French, it appeared that Brandon was responsible for both deaths and had then taken his own life. Appeared. That word matters. It's not a confirmed finding. It's not a completed investigation. It's a first impression, formed at a scene before forensic work has run its course. For a case built on 18 days of public silence and one hopeful video, that single word, appeared, is the difference between a story that's closed and one that's just beginning. The investigation didn't end with a preliminary statement. Chief French didn't stop there. The Mississippi Bureau of Investigation assisted local police, sending in a crime scene unit to help process the house on Toulon Street. That's what happens when investigators want more eyes on the physical evidence, more certainty before anything is called final. Publicly, French thanked the state agency for its help and confirmed the investigation was still active. But an active investigation raises questions a single statement can't answer. What happened inside that house, in the time between the last confirmed sign of normal life and the moment police arrived? What, if anything, changed for Brandon in the 18 days after that video? Whether the account formed in those first hours holds up under closer review. None of those questions have public answers. What has followed instead is silence. No updated statement walking back the initial account. No new charges because there was no one left to charge. No trial because there's no defendant. The case remains open on paper. Officially, the case stays open. Everyone else has already decided how it ends. After December 28th, that TikTok video didn't disappear. It spread. People who had never heard of Jennifer Sheffield found her last video anyway, resurfacing in the days after her death. That reaction showed up again and again in different words from people who'd never heard of her before. She had sounded so hopeful, so sure this was going to be okay. For the people who actually knew her, that video became something harder to watch. Faye Lott had already said, publicly, that she never saw Brandon as a violent person. That statement existed before December 28th changed what it meant. It didn't stop being true to her afterward. It just became a lot harder to reconcile with what had happened. That's the position everyone close to this family was left in. Not disbelief that it happened. Disbelief that it happened to them. A couple who had, by every visible account, been handling an ending better than most. In the weeks after, Brandon's older brother started a fund to help the two girls left behind, Kylie and Gracie. He wrote that there was no handbook for something like this, that the family was doing its best to figure out how to help two children carry a loss no child should have to carry. Whatever comes next for them happens mostly outside of what any of us can see from here. Everyone who knew this family is left holding the same question. Not who, not even, fully, what. If you think you know, if anything in this story adds up differently to you, say it in the comments. Because right now, the only people with real answers aren't talking. Just what changed in 18 days. Jennifer Sheffield was 30 years old. She was a mother. That was the thing she talked about most, the thing that showed up in almost everything she posted. Not the divorce, not the future she was planning around it, her daughters. She was also still becoming someone. A woman building a career in healthcare, building a life on the other side of a hard year. She had a plan. She believed in it enough to say so, out loud, to thousands of people she'd never met, scared and hopeful about it in the same breath. None of that gets to happen now. What's left are two daughters who will grow up carrying a story instead of a mother, old videos instead of new ones. A version of Jennifer frozen at 30, mid-sentence, still talking about everything that was about to get better. That's the last image worth holding on to. Not the house on Toulon Street, not the questions that are still open, just a woman who thought she was starting over.